Good day, brothers and sisters in Christ. Welcome to our Sunday reflection for the 5th week of Easter, Year C. The theme of our reflection is a new commandment. I give you a new commandment, that you love one another. John chapter 13, verse 34. Writing about his experience in Auschwitz, Elie Wiesel stated that the Nazis told them that if they wanted to survive, they should forget their relatives and friends, think only of themselves, and attend only to their own needs. That is what they kept telling them day and night. However, Wiesel asserts that what happened was the opposite. Those who lived only for themselves had a lower chance of survival, while those who lived for a parent, a brother, a friend, or an ideal had a better chance of surviving. In other words, it was through what they gave that they were able to survive. The single most important lesson that emerges from dark places like Auschwitz is that selfishness confines us and keeps us shut in. It diminishes us. Conversely, every profound love for others frees us from this captivity. We experience true freedom when we choose to become friends, brothers and sisters, when we choose to live for the benefit of others. Our readings tell us that true love, our service for others, does not depend on how people relate to us. In the Gospel reading, Jesus commands us to love one another as part of his explanation for washing the feet of his disciples. He expressed a far more self-emptying kind of love. Jesus washed the feet of all the disciples, even Judas, who was about to hand him over to his enemies, and Peter, who was about to deny that he ever knew him. Our second reading refers to a new creation. This is not something magical that appears from nowhere. Instead, it begins here and now with each act that aims to fulfill Jesus' command to love. When we refuse to give up on anyone and do not allow hurt, disappointment, and rejection to extinguish our offer of love, we begin to construct this new heaven and new earth. The disciples in the first reading understood this well enough. Hence, they traveled far and wide with the message of love, even to those who persecuted them. Like the early disciples, we are invited to become instruments of love. At the Easter Vigil, we were reminded of this responsibility. We lit our candles from the Paschal candle, which had been ignited from the Easter fire, and passed them around until everyone held a lit candle. While renewing our baptismal vows, we lit our candles a second time. Although we extinguished the candles and left them behind in the church, we are meant to let the Easter fire burn in our hearts so that we can share it with our family, friends, parish, and fellow workers. For people today, the most substantial proof that Christ is truly risen is found in how those who claim to be his followers, you and I, live and love. If anything brings people to Jesus, it will be us Christians. The shadow side of this truth is that if anything keeps people from Jesus, it will also be us Christians. Does the Easter fire still burn in our hearts? Are we willing to be carriers of that fire? This is the questions that the Easter tide poses to each of us. We express this willingness during the renewal of our baptismal promises. Unfortunately, we often fall short of this expectation because we have not personally experienced divine love. Desmond Knowles reflected deeply on this reality, and I quote, "The one thing we all need to experience is the kind of love that Jesus lived and preached. It's a love which finds its source in God. It's a fragment of eternity within our being and without which our lives have no meaning. Love has the power to give meaning to impossible situations, to bring light into darkness, to inspire people, fill them with hope, and give them the courage to continue on the road ahead." End of quote. We often fail to love because we strive to do so through sheer effort and willpower. Left to our own devices, it is impossible to love as Christ did. To love as He did, we must experience the eternal, unconditional love of Christ. The task then is not to try harder to love, but to reflect in prayer and stillness on the love that God has for us. This awareness will keep us constantly attuned to God's love at work in the events and people around us. It is impossible to go beyond ourselves and truly love if we have not experienced God, who calls us beyond our limitations. Prayer is therefore indispensable for love. Our readings invite us to imagine and strive for a world utterly transformed by God's love. Therefore, this week I invite you to do the following. When have you experienced God's love through someone else? Say a prayer of thanksgiving for that person. Is there a person or a group of people from whom you are deliberately withholding your love? Talk with Jesus about this situation. You can offer a mass for that person or group and pray a rosary for God to soften your hearts. Have a blessed week.